watching Tabletop Legends. If you liked the episode, subscribe to this channel and click the bell icon to enable notifications. A new episode goes up every Monday. You can also join us live on the Proficiency Bonus Twitch channel every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Enjoy. Good evening, hello, and welcome to Tabletop Legends. I am Matt, and as always, I am your Dungeon Master and host, and I am joined by my friends, as always, as we continue our adventure playing some 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. If you are joining us for the first time tonight, or if you missed any episodes, you can find all of our back episodes on YouTube. We are Tabletop Legends on YouTube. Tonight is episode 6. Episodes 1 through 5 are on YouTube currently, and every Monday from now until the inevitable heat death of the universe, the previous week's episode will go up on YouTube for your viewing pleasure before the live stream right here on Proficiency Bonus at 7 p.m. every Tuesday. And because this is episode 6, you know what that means. Broken the record for most episodes of Tabletop Legends, which had previously been 5. We did it. We did it, guys.
Now we have to go for the baker's half dozen.
That's it, yeah, the baker's half dozen.
The march to 7 begins now.
We are already there.
The death march to 7 begins now.
If we get the double digits, I'll be surprised.
We have collected all 6 episodes.
And you too can collect all 6 episodes at youtube.com/.
Do it myself.
Audio podcast is coming soon, so if you're the type of person who can't sit still for 3 hours and watch a live stream or a video and prefer to listen in your car or whatever, stay tuned. We are going to be getting that up and running shortly, I hope. I want to take a second to thank our sponsors, Streamlabs, the Twitch affiliate program, Many-Sided Dice, and Team MZ for supporting the Proficiency Bonus channel. And I would like to thank Tabletop Legends, specific presenting sponsor tonight, as always, the 8th House in Marble Moon Studio, purveyors of fine mugs, and other things besides mugs. They're an
Other stuff.
independently and ethically sourced witchy lifestyle and home goods shop. You can find them online, on Instagram, on Facebook, on... I don't know.
Squarespace.
On,
I don't think they have a Twitter.
old school, like town crier.
Life journal?
Life journal. Oh, God.
Yes, they are on MySpace too.
You can just show up in real life.
Show in real life. Shop the 8th House.
And shout.
Yeah. Shop the 8th House in Marble Moon Studio. They have a fine assortment of things that you can purchase. They've been posting some really cool photos. Marble Moon is coming out soon with a tarot deck, or is working on a tarot deck.
Marble Moon is working on a tarot deck. 8th House right now is in a Kickstarter for the
Is in a
tarot.
Kickstarter. So go and search that. That's information that I found out right now. Otherwise, I'd give you a
There
link.
it is.
At some point tonight, I'll have somebody behind the scenes find out what the link for that Kickstarter is, and we'll send you that way. You can Kickstarter a tarot deck. Good for all you D&D folks. Good for using as a deck of many things. I own a tarot deck, and that's what I use mine for. Which I like. Is like some coven gonna show up and beat me because I'm improperly using a tarot deck? I don't know what the rules are. Oh, that's okay.
It's whatever. It's whatever. It's whatever.
He's using it for other things. Get him and beat him.
Get him, boys.
They're gonna like skywrite outside your house on a broom, like
Surrender.
go home,
door. Wait a
go
minute,
home, nerd.
scratch. Matt.
Stay in your lane.
That's the episode title.
Episode title: Stay in Your Lane.
Ah, crap! I just realized I bought new dice this weekend, and I forgot about it completely until right now.
Speaking of new dice, we have the Golden D20 from last week is currently in the position of Walter 4, Houdiniing his way out of handcuffs, murdering someone, saving them, and then sassing the Inquisitor within the span of a minute. So that is yours for the night. We also have, this was a birthday present I got, we have Dice Jail. So I'm going to put this on the table here. near our battle map, and if anybody throughout the course of the night feels the need that some of their dice have to go to dice jail, that is there for your use.
I'm calling that right now. I'll probably use it.
It's an 18, okay. If I had one, I would have put it right in Dice Channel.
So you're a magical life alert, pretty much, right?
Help my phone, I can't get up. Yes, you can.
Alrighty. If you don't know what any of that was referencing, it's because you missed last week's session, and go watch it on YouTube. Alright. You guys ready? Let's jump into it.
I'm not saying I know the exact timestamp, but I know the exact timestamp.
Okay. We rejoin our party as the sun sets on their second full day in the town of Stone Mill. Can you believe it? It's only been 2 days.
It's only been 2 days.
Oh my God.
It's been a long night.
Damn.
After it's been about 3 long nights in a row at this point.
Jeez.
After a somewhat tumultuous start to their relationship with Mithlindian Inquisitor Liana Highhaven, the party now find themselves allied with her and her people in an effort to unravel the mystery of several brutally violent deaths, a continued menace from undead creatures, and a missing girl, before any further tragedy can strike the small logging village. As the clues begin to fall into place, the party turns its attention towards dwarven ruins they believe may be nestled somewhere in the foothills of the Ujir Mountains nearby. The shambling horrors that are the reanimated bodies of ancient dwarves must be coming from somewhere reasonably close, though what drives them and what has called them back from death is still unclear. It has been the better part of 3 days since any of the party, aside from Nula, you got an extra A in there and it gets me every time, aside from Nula, have gotten more than a scattered few hours of sleep in one go, and the exhaustion threatens to take its toll. But there are still the other relic hunters afoot. The party knows of their plans to break into the mausoleum this evening. The clock is ticking, and decisions will have to be made. So we rejoin you guys now. You just finished your discussion with the Inquisitor, who is heading back to her camp for the night, and you guys are planning what to do, as it is nightfall, and you have some leads to follow up on your main investigation tomorrow, but there is the matter of the other relic hunters, and they're sharing with you of their plan to break into the mausoleum that you just visited recently, which you did inform the Inquisitor and her people of. But it is your decision as how you, personally, are going to involve or not involve yourselves.
We open the tomb, then seal them in. Done.
Nah, I might damage what's in there.
They might wake that thing up.
Not my problem.
It is if it gets out.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. We're fine.
It's a taste for blood and comes hefty.
What is fine?
We told the Inquisitor that they were planning on.
How long until midnight, roughly?
It's like sunset right now, so you've got a number of hours at least.
Not enough time to sleep.
Not enough time to get a rest.
Enough time to get a short rest.
You can get a short rest.
I will definitely be taking a short rest after we figure out what we're doing.
Coffee.
Magical coffee. Does anybody have magical coffee?
I will settle for just regular coffee at this point.
Try to talk to Bartok.
We should absolutely talk to Bartok.
Yeah. He might.
We still have the key on us.
Yes, and I
So-
think it should be placed in his hands. If he continues to be in protective custody, it means it's in his hands.
In
Plus,
custody.
somebody's going to have to go through those guards.
Alright,
Alright,
to
let's go
Bartok.
talk to Bartok.
Okay. So you head away from the temple on the westernmost outskirts of town, back through the small village, the streets quite deserted at this time, as the commotion earlier in the day with the arrest of the sexton and all of the hullabaloo was enough to draw some folks out of their homes to gossip. The fall of night has still got most of the town locked securely away in their homes as not to tempt any further attacks, as they have no guarantee that whatever has been going on is for certain been stopped. So you pass through the town without coming across anyone else except for one of the Inquisitor's people who is just, you see, kind of on a patrol through the central thoroughfare of town. You pass as you guys are crossing over the bridge that goes over the little river that offshoots from the falls of the northern part of town.
I give a tired salute as I pass.
He just nods to you guys in turn and continues on his way as he's doing his patrol. You make your way north up towards the cliff face where the two-story town hall with its mixture of modern human construction on top of old dwarven ruin sits nestled against the rock wall at the northern edge of town. And you enter in the same guard or deputy rather, who had been on hand earlier, several hours previously when you had visited Bartug before, is still there, as well as two of the Inquisitor's home guard, one of whom you recognize as Liam, the younger of the two guards you met on your first, your original path into town, and another one who you are not quite certain the name of. The two home guard are kind of just going about their business in this area, sort of standing guard. They take note of you all as you come in, but you see them, just the two of them, kind of go back to conversation they were having. Liam offers you just a quick
Once again, very tired salute.
hand raise of greeting, and it is the deputy, Deputy Nell, who approaches you.
The deputy?
Deputy, but like a real one instead of you, who has a crappy fake badge that you had made for yourself.
I left it in the car, I'm so sorry.
Ditto.
Disregard
You're out of the
continuity
group.
errors.
You're out of the group. So as you approach her, she looks at you all and says, "Ooh, you're back. Is there something you needed?"
If possible, we'd like to talk to the sexton again.
She kind of looks over to where Liam and the other guard are, with a sort of a questioning look, and the other guard gives a kind of a nod. You know, they don't seem to care. Sure. Will you be needing to go into the cell again, or just?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, then, if it's all the same to you, I'll just wait up here.
Thank you.
She moves aside and lets you guys head down the stairs into the sub-basement of this structure that is entirely of dwarven construction, where those three cells are. The first one, the sexton is in. He's laying on his cot as you guys enter, but he opens one flinty black eye, kind of opens in your direction. He turns, props himself up on one elbow to turn in your direction. You're back.
We are.
Did you enter into the mausoleum then?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I take it you found nothing that indicates that I'm some sort of a homicidal maniac setting zombies on the town?
Nope.
Found nothing really at all.
There's
Ooh.
only one.
Imagine that.
There's only one grave in there.
Well, that's not surprising. With the mausoleum of that type up on the surface, it's certainly more indicative of a single resting place of somewhat of importance. If you don't mind my asking, what did you see inside?
Well,
I've never gone in myself.
let me show you. Minor illusion. He creates what he thinks is the first panel.
Okay. He looks at it and says, "Oh, That's a neat trick, lad.
Very useful.
I take it there were a number of these throughout the room. Aye. It's not uncommon. These tableaus, they're often put in our burial places. We use them to tell stories of, in this case, likely the individual that was interred there. Or if it's one of our larger burial sites, the community, the people with whom are interred within. I don't expect there was anything particularly out of place about the inside of it, eh?
The
No.
tomb appears to have not been disturbed since, quite possibly, the person in the sarcophagus was interred.
As far as I'm aware, no one had removed the key from its hiding place since I discovered it when the new temple was built on top of the ruin that was there before. I can't say for certain that any of the previous sextants hadn't ever stumbled across it, but my instinct tells me no. And as I said, I've never gone in there. It's never been my place to intrude upon the rest of the dead.
Alar's gonna glance at the other cell before leaning in. What? It's probably best that you didn't. It looks like there was some sort of protective statue there. With Cal here thinks there might have been enchanted to animate to defend the contents of the sarcophagus.
It's certainly possible. It's not uncommon for my people to build these spiritual guardians. There's a long tradition among my people that such things, when warranted by an important figure, serve as a plea to the gods to bring down an eidolon spirit, a guardian spirit, protect the resting place of our dead from would-be robbers or intruders. I can't say that it's anything more than an ancient fable, but
Alar just starts shaking his head very slowly. I'm pretty sure there's actually a spirit there.
did it, well, it moved?
I saw a definite glow about the eyes, and it was not there at any point when we were resealing it.
Well, far be it from me to discredit it anything of a holy nature, eh? Certainly not in my line of work.
Oh, before I forget, and I give him back the key.
He reaches, he gets up and kind of stumps his way a couple of feet over to the cells and just reaches through and kind of slides it back through the bars and moves back over to the cot. I suppose it's safer with me than unguarded in the temple.
That's what
I appreciate it. Thank you.
that's for.
I'd like to show you some of the other ones. I'm hoping that you might it might jog a memory. We suspect that some of the other tableaus showed other dwarven settlements in the area, and we're looking for any lead that we can get to find where these undead are coming from.
I'll do what I can. I don't want to get your hopes up. The rule of the Avarians was not kind to the dwarvish people. There's been more history lost to my people than, no offense to the younger lived races, than many of your histories have combined. I'll do what I can if I recognize anything.
I understand. We're just trying to get some bearing. So he magics up the next tableau.
Are these, so they were like 3 specifically that had like landmarks. Are these the ones you're showing him, or just going in order? Okay. He looks at it for a little bit and he says, well, I don't know anything about the settlements that are being displayed here, but the topography certainly looks familiar. I don't think that that's too far from here, if my eyes don't do me injustice.
We suspect so as well. We were just hoping you might have more. It might jog a memory of, oh, it was. I've heard of blah settlement, or you know. So here is another one with similar.
He sort of looks it over for a minute. Says, that one's a little trickier. I suppose from the right angle that does look a bit like the skyline. No, say a little bit east of here, in the foothills of the Udjir Mountains, so, closer on to nothing so ancient as what you're looking for, but in that direction further off, if you head off to the north a bit, there is a dwarven, a modern dwarven settlement, but that's much further on, but perhaps a week and a half journey on foot. Probably not what you're looking for. This is, whatever was here was much closer, I'd wager.
Okay, and here's a third one.
I'm not as familiar with that one. I know the mountains like the back of my hand, but this looks a little too far south for my expertise.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I can't provide you any information about settlements. I don't know of anything in the area that predates the modern era.
It was worth a shot. I can also show you the rest of the tableaus if you're interested.
I'd appreciate it, yes.
All right. Give me a sec. Okay. So there's the first one again. And if I remember how dwarves place their tableaus, this should be the second. And ALR will spend the
As
next.
he goes through, he spends a few minutes looking at each one, and as you show them to him, he kind of talks you guys through them. He says, "Aye, it's a pretty standard." He points as you are displaying them around. It shows the story of the life of this dwarf. He points as you go through them to a figure in each of them who, Kel, I believe you had noted there was like a figure that was like static throughout them. I'm afraid that there's nothing here that gives me any indication of who he might have been, how long ago he lived, but it seems based on the memorial that they left for him, he was someone who traveled this region and dedicated his life to helping the dwarves of this area as they struggled under the Invarian overlords. Sort of a underground network of sorts. Eh?
You had a guess as to how the mausoleum was?
I knew that it dated back to the Invarian Empire. That's as much as I knew.
It makes sense based on what's displayed there. There's a bit towards the last few panels there that I don't quite understand. They seem to indicate that whoever this man was, he had some sort of a power to affect change, but not in the metaphorical sense, in a quite literal sense. If what I'm seeing here, he points and you see there's as you're like displaying back one of the last few tableaus is you see this dwarven figure is reaching out and placing a hand on something that is carved to be like the likeness of a tree or a piece of like lumber or a log or something, and it's carved in such a way that it looks like the log is like flowing into like stone, like a evenly cut stone. He says, I don't know that I can make heads or tails of that, but it seems that whoever laid this individual to rest seemed to believe he had the power to, I don't know, transform things.
That makes a little bit of sense. There is some sort of artifact that's giving off an aura of transmutation magic in the actual tomb. But what it might be, we decided it was better not to find out.
That's probably a wise decision, and I do appreciate not disturbing the dead, as I can't say that I'm quite familiar with all of that magic talk and transmutation or anything like that, but if there was something laid to rest in there with him, it belongs in its rightful place where he rests. It was important enough to his life that they buried him with it. I appreciate you leaving it where it be.
Well, we promised.
Aye. Well, I'm afraid I can't give you any more information than that. I apologise. I do wish I could help a little more. Hopefully the Inquisitor might see fit to release me from my fine accommodations now that it's been, I hope, proved that I'm not involved in all of this nasty business.
I imagine it'll probably not be more than one more night here.
Aye. Well, if there's nothing else, I've had quite a day. I've had my legs smashed and put back together, and the lads that tried to do it are not more than 15 feet away from me, so I've been expending quite a great deal of energy ignoring them. If it's all the same, I'd rather try to catch some sleep, and I do wish you luck.
Just one more question for you.
Aye.
Do you know if there are any scholars of Dwarven history in this region who might know a little bit more about settlements from the age of the Invari Empire?
Not specifically. I've been living here amongst primarily the humans for a number of years now, and as you can imagine, my kind don't often take too kindly to overly fraternizing with outsiders. Historians, certainly they exist, but they're not that common amongst my people. Your best bet would be within the cities, but without a perfectly good reason, I doubt they'd be willing to talk to you. Besides the fact that they're weeks away by foot.
Alright,
Have you eaten anything?
Oh, they brought me dinner a while ago, and he points to the corner of the cell where there's a tray where there's a little bit of like a hunk of bread left and a little bit of cheese and it looks like a few chicken bones, as they brought him some food. He goes, they've been pleasant enough to me, as well, I suppose as soon as they got word that I'm not a necromantic maniac from you guys investigating the tomb. The elf's still not happy that I've refused to cooperate with her, but I can live with that. Hey, hopefully the people of the town don't think too ill of me after I was arrested under false pretenses.
That does indirectly bring us to the reason why we're dropping off the stone here. We do have reason to believe that there's another group, not too dissimilar from ourselves, that's looking to get into that mausoleum, and they're trying to do it tonight.
Interesting. Well, without, he pats the portion of the mattress on underneath which he slid the key. Without that, there's no way to get into that tomb without making an unholy amount of racket. You'd need some pretty serious tools to do it, not to mention a considerable amount of muscle. Points at you as you're like standing hunched in the hallway. A lad his size might be able to pull it off, but I don't know how quietly, especially not in the dead of night.
Not quietly at all.
Well, if we come back asking, just address us in Dwarvish first and see where that goes.
Fair enough. He kind of looks to you to see if there's anything else. And as you guys seem to indicate, he doesn't. He kind of gives you one sort of weary raise of the hand, and then with a grunt as he like lifts his smashed leg back up onto the cot and lays back down.
Alright, well, now for the even less likely path in the home. The Mythlindian Home Guard has decent maps of the area.
Or do we want to rest up?
I would like to take a
It
nap
is.
first.
It is. The sun is gone down at this point, so it is nighttime at this point.
I would absolutely love a nap.
You're at 2 levels of exhaustion currently.
I'm probably at least at one.
You're at 1, and like the rest of you are bordering on a level of exhaustion, except Nula, who's like mostly okay. You guys have
we took
snagged
a
a
long
few
rest.
hours of rest.
We got a
Oh yeah,
long
you did
rest,
get
I
one.
think.
You three,
Yeah, the
you're
blue
doing
one.
okay.
Yeah.
You guys you're still got exhaustion. You've got exhaustion. You're like bordering on it.
I guess I was able to short rest.
You guys caught a little bit of sleep, but you were like on the ground in a tent
Yeah.
from like the middle of the night until fairly early in the morning when they came and got you. So you guys really haven't grabbed much more than a few hours.
We could always go back, go to sleep. I mean, we'll hear if they break into the...
Well,
Oh,
you
I
three
don't
have
think- I
rested,
don't think
so-
we'll hear from across town.
Oh.
yes. If we'd hear it from anywhere, we'd hear it from the temple.
You are aware, just in case I didn't mention it before, you do know, like, you did tell the Inquisitor about this, and she did say she was gonna
Put up guards.
have people guard it.
Do we want to take a long rest in the temple?
We can.
I mean, I'd be fine with taking a long rest in the temple.
I'd be fine with just
So,
taking a long
let's-
rest in the dirt.
I mean, yeah, we'll try to take a nap. If something wakes us up, something wakes us up.
If not, we'll wake up in the morning.
That's fair.
And we can inform one of the home guard here.
We're in the temple if they need backup.
That way, if there's a shift change, where it gets back there, hopefully gets to the one station there, and everybody knows where everybody is.
Yep.
Sounds good. Let's go do that.
To the
One
temple.
very long nap, please.
Alright. So you guys, once more, back across the town and
Walking.
head yourself over to the temple. When you get there, you find that it does appear that somebody, assuming either the home guard or the sheriff and one of his deputies, somebody has locked the doors to the temple as it is currently unoccupied.
I open this.
Didn't we tell them that we were going to be here?
We
We didn't strictly mention we were going to nap at the temple.
We did. We told the guard back at the jail. Most likely, this happened before we got here. All right, I'll.
Alright, roll to break into a church.
Wait, is that the weirdest thing that we've done so far?
I mean, we're only breaking in to protect.
You're only breaking in a little bit.
We're only gonna loot
Go,
it.
yeah, go ahead and roll a check your lockpicks.
So,
He doesn't
ALR
make it.
skills are goblin husbandry and church.
Well, this one
breaking.
goes right into the dice jail.
Oh, dice jail.
Then I punch it.
Yeah.
Punch the lock off.
No,
What
no.
was, what was your roll before you put in the dice jail?
Natural one.
Ooh, natural one. Alright, so you kind of fiddle. And you actually do
like there. Yeah, that's correct.
hear, like,
It is.
you're like, oh, I got it. And you pull out and you push, and you realize there's like a second lock.
Yeah,
You go like fiddling about that one.
Okay.
Wait,
Yeah, I want to break the lock.
just make a strength check.
I'm not breaking the door. I can just break the
Want
lock.
to make a contesting strength test to try and stop
The
it?
lock is like built into the door, but you can certainly like.
Yeah. I'm not
Go
breaking the
ahead
door.
and make an athletics check.
What? It's fine.
In the door.
It's fine.
They're gonna have to replace the door.
They'll do fine. Jeez.
Oh no.
What is it?
We got another idea.
Dice shield's getting real full, boys and girls.
I also rolled a natural 1 on my attempt to stop him from breaking the lock.
Okay, why are you grabbing me? He's the one that's punching.
No, I don't think it deserves it yet. I'll give it a redemption.
What's your athletics check?
7.
7.
I only get to beat a 7?
Osrius is like, we're wasting time. And just like, with two hands, just like, shoves into the door to try and like, just break it inwards. With a great big resounding like, and the sturdy set of doors just remain steadfast.
Alar's gonna get between you and the doors. Give me 2 minutes.
I don't care about your 2 minutes.
And he's gonna turn around, keep with his back to Osrius, and this time he rolls a whole whopping 15.
So that time you manage to. It actually takes you an extra minute or two because it seems that one of the tumblers inside is like slightly bent out of place from Osrius hitting it. But you do eventually like
Take it too long.
and then like turn, and the secondary lock, you hear it slide back, and you're able to just push the doors inward.
All right, everybody in.
See, patience pays off.
Patience is not what I care about. All you guys do is patience. This was got us here.
Once
You can
everybody's
talk all you want, you still can get the door open.
once
Yeah, at least I
everyone's
tried.
in, he closes it, and if there's a way to reset the lock on the inside,
It's easy enough to just turn both the locks, and you hear the two metal like clasps lock into place.
at least it
The
wasn't
inside.
broken.
Luckily, it does not appear to be broken. Osrius didn't hit it quite hard enough.
All right. That one. He picks one of the benches, throws his pack onto it.
I will first pray too, and then Chris.
All right. Is anybody, you guys setting up any watches or anything? You just resting? You're pretty well sealed in.
Stay up for a couple hours.
Okay.
Roll on bed, roll and just sleep on the floor.
Cool. All right. Kel, go ahead and make a perception check for your time awake.
That is a 17.
Okay. So, as everybody else settles in to rest, you kind of perch yourself on one of the benches on a side of the temple that is closer, the exterior wall to where the small cemetery and the mausoleum are, so that you have a better chance of hearing anything outside if any commotion is to be had. A couple of times during the course of your watch, you do see the orange glow outside of the temple coming in through the high windows. Kind of approach over to the area of the cemetery. You gauge just about as far as like the entrance gate, and then turn and head back. You get the impression that this is the Inquisitor's people patrolling around the streets at this point, just trying to keep an eye on things as best they can. But as it approaches to what you gauge to be the time that you had discussed meeting with the other relic hunters, with Rogers and the boys. You don't hear anything. You wait, and about an hour past when they had said they were, making their plan, and you get no indication that anybody has, besides the guards walking around, anybody has come to scope this area out or is trying to break into the mausoleum. So at that point, you kind of have a decision to make about what to do for the remainder of your night. It seems, at least thus far, they didn't show.
Hey, what?
It's your turn.
That's fair.
Alright, Cal, shaking a little awake. And sort of about the 1:30 a.m. portion of the evening, you're awoken to stand a watch. Go ahead and make a perception check for your portion of the evening's watch.
7.
Dice jam.
7. Okay.
That's a 6. Could be worse.
Alright, so you stay up. You do just kind of a standard 4-hour watch. So you stay up until the wee hours of the morning, just till shortly before the pre-dawn gray will be creeping into the air. Likewise, you hear nothing. As the hour pushes on closer till morning, the appearance of the torchlight indicating the guards walking around comes a little less frequently, as it seems they might be focusing their kind of patrol efforts elsewhere as the main portion of the window has passed a little bit. And with a couple hours left until sunrise and kind of morning time, you likewise have a decision to make about what to do from this point.
I poke Braun.
Can I help you?
You're up on watch.
Which phone number, contact or device do you want to call?
No.
What? Echo, stop
You
it.
have several contacts named
No!
Can you please
No!
You have several contacts named what?
list?
No, what is on second? I don't know.
I couldn't find
Third base. That's the response I get from Rob.
How?
The AI apocalypse has begun, ladies and gentlemen. Make your
How
peace
dare you,
with
Echo.
whatever deities you have.
I think that would have been 8 hours sleep for you.
Why would you wake up the half-orc with 2 levels of exhaustion for a watch?
I thought you didn't have exhaustion.
I have 2 levels of exhaustion.
He has the most exhaustion.
Can I think about eating you right now?
You did get 8 hours, so one of your levels of exhaustion goes away.
Never
It's
mind.
just she didn't
go
much.
back.
She just didn't.
I'm going to roll over and be like, no.
I go to Osworth.
Now you want my help. Just saying. I get up.
Osmond goes from being dead asleep to sassing you immediately.
He's like,
Because I'm not really sleeping. Now you want my help. Because I get it. I get it.
Shenanigans of it.
Alright, so you're gonna take a watch, Oz.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So as Nula heads off to catch some sleep, go ahead and make a perception check for the remaining couple of hours.
17.
17, okay. The first roughly 3 or so hours of you keeping vigil past that incident, you hear nothing of any particular interest as you kind of sit and stare at the inside of this stuffy, constructed monument to silly deities which you know nothing of. And just as it's getting to be about the time where you're considering going and waking everybody up to let's get a move on, you see it's not, the sun hasn't quite crested over over the horizon yet outside, but it's very close to doing so. You actually do catch something, just barely. You hear what sounds like some sort of a commotion, like some shouts but it sounds like it's coming from very far off and from inside the temple. All you can really make out is that you hear like a few raised voices from somewhere, but you're not able to tell what they're saying or where they're coming from.
Going to wake up Walter. I'm gonna be like, there's voices coming from the village, I think.
Look at the light coming in, try to figure out what time of day it is.
Like just about dawn, so it's like 7 a.m. ish.
You think it's the shopkeepers getting ready?
Kind of sounded like shouting to me.
Think we should wake everyone up?
I think so.
Alright. You can wake up the half-orc. Those guys.
Shit, Brom. Brom, wake up!
I said no more chickens. What?
They're shouting, and I think in the village. We need to go. Wake up the rest. We gotta move.
Was it in the village or inside the temple?
Village, coming from somewhere outside the temple.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm gonna wake up Nula.
Yeah,
Or, yeah. There's shenanigans afoot.
alright.
I think we gotta get going. Everybody's,
All right, so you guys shake yourselves awake kind of quickly.
What? Oh. So do we have to kill somebody?
Possibly.
I hope.
Oh, okay. No,
That was an abrupt.
Murder?
Look, if they were out there, there's a firm chance that we would have had to engage them, which means there's a possibility we would have had to kill them.
Well, it's morning, so we have a different group.
Okay, well, let's find out what's going on. He undoes the locks, opens the door,
You open the door.
gives a listen.
Go ahead and roll a perception check.
Don't you have a
19.
squawk that could...
Is that what the kids are calling it these days?
You mean
Familiar.
she's back on my shoulder.
Yeah. Pretty bird. Pretty bird.
Meanwhile,
All right,
everyone's
well,
clapping.
Nula has a nice
Busy
fun
here.
vocabulary
Clapping
lesson.
going.
So as Walter stares at Nula, and Nula stares at Walter, and the bird stares at Nula, Alar, you like poke your head out, close the door behind you to try and give a listen, and you hear coming from off considerable distance away, on the other side of the stream, like over the bridge, you hear a couple of shouts that you're too far away to really make out anything besides the tone of alarm but command that you would associate with either like the home guard or the sheriff or his deputies or somebody with like authority responding to something potentially serious.
Shit.
Lock the door.
He pulls the door open. Come on, everybody, let's go, go.
I'm gonna dash over to the to make sure the door's still closed muzzle in before I run towards the noise.
Does appear to be
It's open?
closed.
Closed, okay.
Uh,
just paranoid
I
double
don't.
check.
I don't have the key, so I'm gonna have to reset the lock on this side.
It's fine.
So you guys go ahead. I'll be right behind you.
Catch up.
Okay, bye.
All right, so you guys sprint across town over the bridge.
So to reset the lock is a 20, not natural.
Okay. There is a few moments of like fumbling, but quickly you just lock both doors and set off maybe only 60 feet behind the rest of the party as they all pelt across town.
Thanks, Dad. And off he goes.
So, as you guys sprint through the streets, heading back across town, over the wooden bridge, your feet thundering across it as you quickly move towards the first towards the eastern portion of town, and then bank north into the direction of the town hall as you get closer and start to follow the kind of sounds. The initial sounds that you heard of kind of shouts of raised alarm have given way to the sort of confused, weird telephone game of information you see being basically like spreading throughout the town as people call to one another from like the doorways of their homes and windows. You hear a distant, high-pitched like scream of terror from the direction of the town hall, which guides you not as you had maybe initially assumed towards like the eastern border, but up that main drag, slightly up the incline towards the stone face cliff that the town hall juts up against. And a couple of breathless minutes later, as you run up and break out of kind of the last little clump of buildings and small trees into the open slope that leads up to where this town hall structure is, you come upon a scene of frantic bedlam as there are two of the Mythlindian Home Guard currently shoulder to shoulder and steadily backing down the hill away from the town hall. One of them distinctively limping on an apparently injured leg, as coming in that direction at a rather hasty shamble are three undead dwarven monstrosities just menacing towards them. I don't know if I actually turn this off. Echo, roll initiative.
Sorry, I don't know that.
You lie. You lie to me, Echo! You embarrassed me on stream!
I couldn't find any enabled video skills that can play that.
What?
Go to the Alexa app to manage your video skills and devices.
I think Alexa had a stroke.
Alexa did have a stroke. Echo, roll initiative. There we go.
Music change.
Yay.
I do the music change. The music changes in Alexa.
Yeah, don't give Alexa credit.
Yeah.
There's nothing to do with it.
My dice. Oh, cool.
Alrighty. 25 to 20.
Good start.
Great start.
19 to 15.
19.
19.
Birdman.
14 to 10.
Oh, yeah, 13, sorry.
13.
Also 13.
11.
No, I was hoping 13.
That would have been cool.
Is everybody else 13? Okay.
9 to 5. Oh, boy. Okay.
7.
7.
Dice jail.
What do you got, Nua?
3.
Oh!
You don't have any initiative bonus?
Nope.
Dice jail. Oh,
So 4.
4!
It's better.
Moving up in the world.
Count,
4.
folks.
Tilt that camera just like a scotched.
Oh.
Scooch.
Initiative right there under.
That's a sketch.
I'll let you know what I said.
We'll know in 30 to 15 seconds.
Yep. Alright, so go ahead and array yourselves kind of like
Which
where
way?
Walter is like pretty much the center and like as far back. So array yourselves like a no, don't go any further back than where you are.
Okay. I would be bringing up the rear because I was behind you all.
Man, I need one of those
And
like
I have short legs.
need one of those like scoochers.
Oh, the back scratchers?
Yeah.
So we just decided that Walter is the.
Well, I said Walter is the farthest back point, and then everybody put their guys behind them, so I just moved the whole map up.
Look, we don't.
Well, Walter was the first one.
We
to
don't
run
take
out.
direction.
No, I ran out and checked the door first of the.
But you were
Yeah.
the closest to the outside,
Yeah, it's
except for anything.
all excited. I was the last one on watch, so sure.
Okay, so as and very good.
And we had a full rest, right?
You have gotten a full
I'm
rest.
like this guy right here.
Yeah, Hammer McGee. I think it's a woman.
It is.
It is.
It's a zombie, so
I
technically
like
it's
this zombie.
It's Hammer
Nothing.
McGee.
Okay, so you guys approach this developing scene as these three zombie creatures start moving away from the town hall. These two home guard backing away from them, swords drawn at the ready. And Walter, you are the first to react in the situation.
Step 1, we're gonna bonus action hex the lady shield.
Okay.
Place a curse on a creature you can see within range. It just happens.
Yeah,
it's a
I'm
concentration
good.
spell.
I know this.
And then I'm going to Eldritch Blast it.
Cool. Roll it.
18.
18 will definitely hit.
Alright. And it does 1d10 plus 1d6. So necrotic damage and force damage. So d10 necrotic, d10 force, d6 necrotic. 1 force and 6 necrotic damage.
Alrighty.
Choosing abilities is when you cast the spell. Target has disadvantage on ability checks to be made with the chosen ability. We're gonna go with Wisdom.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Lock them.
So, Walter plants his feet, casts one hand forward, and a crackle of blackish energy rolls down his arm and erupts from his palm, firing across the distance between you guys and where the zombies are, traveling a slight curved arc to go over the two home guards as it slams home into the first zombie. Even as you guys see, it almost seems like the air, this sort of misty morning air, around this dwarven creature, starts to like congeal and stick to her and like weigh down on her desiccated form, as his hex sort of takes hold and locks in on her. The Eldritch Blast strikes home, causing the creature to stagger back a half a step, but otherwise just hardly even break stride as it continues to menace its way forward. And actually the guards are going to be the next to react, so they kind of simultaneously spin to see you guys approaching. They are not the two who you had left in the town hall. I don't know why I can't remember town hall every time I gotta say it. They're not the same two. It's not Liam and the other one that you had left in the town hall previously. It's a different two this time, you see. And they see you guys and they sort of back up further towards you guys to like close ranks with you. And they turn back, as they sort of say, one of them says like, "Christ, thank God you're here. We've got the numbers now. We can take them." You see, he is bleeding from some type of an injury to one of his legs. The material of his pants is like begun to soak through with blood. But otherwise, he seems to be still pretty on his feet. And the other one you see as as she turns towards you as well, is also seems to be injured. She's sporting like the entire one side of her face is like already you can see beginning to like swell from where she took some sort of a hit to the side of the head. But her eyes are clear and sharp, and she seems ready to stay in the fight. She kind of calls out, They broke into the sheriff's office. She points with one hand, leaving her sword. That one took something. And you do indeed see that the center one further in the back has clutched in its hands some sort of a small wooden box. And that brings us to the zombies.
We got out dexterity by zombies. Not a proud day.
They dashed. So they continue to shamble forward, except the one in the back, which seems to be protectively clutching whatever it is in its hands. And that is going to be their turn. So, Alar and Brahm, you guys are up as these two zombies close in on the front line of defense here of the two home guards in front of you.
Are they armed? Are they
These
sort of
zombies?
Yeah.
No. Same soot-covered rags, burial shrouds that the other encounters that you have had were wearing. And they have just empty but vicious-looking, like, hands with which to maul and teeth with which to bite.
Lara's going to bonus action dash to here, and that one gets to make a DC 12 Wisdom save.
Alrighty. That fails.
It takes. Is that one damaged in any way?
Which one again?
Murder beer?
No.
Okay. And it's only a D8.
Toll the Dead?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
How much damage?
2.
Two
necrotic.
Alright. So Alar kind of moves over, steps up, casts a hand in the direction of this this creature. You kind of make a gesture and mutter an incantation, and there is this sort of dolorous that fills the air around you. And the for its part, the zombie kind of like stumbles for a moment, but doesn't seem to connect the hit that it just took with any particular source, as its eyes just stay locked forward on the guard in front of it. What are you doing with your turn, Brian?
I'm going to throw a dagger at that one, which was a 15 to hit.
Alrighty, that does hit.
Okay.
Go ahead and roll
It
damage.
takes the max 4 damage.
Alright, 4 damage on the one with the red head there.
On that note, I'll be right back because I forgot my spell book in the car. Though most of my spells don't work on the undead anyway.
But you do have Bardic Inspiration.
I do.
You do.
But I'm going to try and eat that metal when I come back.
So all three are effectively damaged now? You said red.
Yes, all 3 have been damaged. Okay, so Kel, you're up. You hear the through the air.
Alright, so we're going to start by casting an empowered Scorching Ray.
Okay.
So let's check for Wild Magic. No.
Okay, good.
And let's make some attacks.
Which one are you targeting?
I'm targeting this one.
Okay.
3 times.
Alrighty.
15.
That hits.
Natural 20.
Nice.
Natural 20.
What's the opposite of dice?
We need, yeah, I was gonna say, we need
Yes.
anti-dice jail.
I guess it sits upon the dice jail.
Oh,
and
we need a
gets
dice
thrown.
thrown.
Yeah, we need dice thrown.
Where's
I don't have a good dice thrown.
If only someone would stop dragging their feet on fixing that 3D printer.
Maybe.
We could
Alright.
print ourselves our own dice
That
throw.
is 9 damage from the first one.
Okay.
18 damage from the second one.
Ooh, buddy.
And 14 damage from the third one.
All right. And where are you? You're all the way in the back there. Okay.
So I'm going from there. Then we will
Like it's right. Oh, look at it.
start making my way that way.
All right. So from behind you guys, there is like Kel basically like rears back both hands. Two twin like plumes of fire engulf both of his forearms with like a mighty these like beams of fire just lance off of his hands, the one coming from his right hand splitting into two as they weave through everybody, intertwining and serpentining with another before they all coalesce one after the other, hitting square center mass of this lead zombie, and it just engulfs it in this torrent of flame through which you very briefly see the dark outline of its like skeletal desiccated form, which very quickly like begins to like break up and just disintegrate and crumble. And as the fire washes past it and the spell dissipates, you see what amounts to little more than like a charred skeleton with just a little bit of like sinew left on it, as it just like collapses into powder basically on the ground in front of you as this one goes down. I tell you what, undead fortitude against 38 damage or whatever it was you did is not going to make a difference. That's real dead.
The one in the back, Oz. Get the one in the back.
That's right.
Alright, Osrius. So, Kel just Kamehameha a zombie, and you're up.
Alright, actually, I'm going to tackle this one.
Alright, make
And,
a athletics check.
I'm going to tackle him like a force of like.
Yeah.
Tackle him like off of that guy. What is it, 10?
That's enough. So you barrel into this zombie, carrying it with you another 5 or so feet, like kind of closer to Alar, as its feet just scrape 2 divots in the ground as you push it away, and now like grappled up with it, as it is basically wrapped in your arms, its own arms sort of pinned to its side, but still trying to like rip at your torso as it tries to like snap and bite. Nula, you all the way in the back see Osrius tackle one of these zombies. The other one is slowly smoldering on the ground. And the third one, still in the back, is kind of shambling forward, protecting whatever this small box is in its arms.
Yeah, you gotta get for it.
Count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and then I'm going to throw a javelin.
Alright, we'll hit.
Oh,
Javelins have metal.
8.
That'll hit.
That'll hit.
That'll hit.
Alright, okay. 6.
Alright.
The dice.
Against Network.
Throw into this.
The murder beard.
Well, you said it was, 6 or 8? 6.
6 damage.
Macbeth Horatio murder.
Surprise, this has been a game set in the future of our normal campaign. Alright, so the javelin basically just like, with a kind of a dry, crispy sort of a sound, passes clean through this thing's like abdomen and sticks into the ground behind, and as it's like toddling forward, it just like slides off of the javelin as the thing goes all the way like clean through it and passes out the back. Walter, you are up.
Alright, I'm gonna take that hex and I'll put it on the murder beard guy.
Alright.
And as a bonus action after it's effective, apply this concentration. Just moves over. Then I am going to go ahead and I'll just blast it again.
All right, roll the hit.
I don't know what the hell that was.
Is it one?
No, it was
You
nothing.
tried to throw it in the box?
I tried to throw it in the box and it's like... not better. 7!
7, not quite gonna do it. So as the like the very end tip of Nula's javelin, like out the back of it, the sort of release of that friction sends it toddling forward just a half step, and that sort of hunch that it does in that step causes your Eldritch Blast to like right over its head, impact 60 or so feet away up the incline back towards where the town hall is.
This one's going to be strength. The newly hexed guy is going to be strength ability checks.
Okay, sounds good. Alrighty. Guards take their turn. So this one is gonna step over the dust. And she's gonna move here, and she's gonna take a swing at this one. Grappled by Osrius. That will definitely hit. She does... that one. Okay, so she does some damage to that one, and she basically brings her short sword up and just like taking care not to stab you on the
That's
other
good.
side.
That's nice.
Basically, just like
I appreciate
shoves it
that.
into this thing's thigh, like a downward arc, and it pierces through the thigh and like out the other side, all the way up to the hilt as the tip of the sword like hits the ground, and then she pulls it back out with a force of strength. The zombie, for its part, just kind of gives like a as it's hit, but otherwise gives no particular reaction. The other one there, as everybody's sort of starting to crowd around us, he's gonna take another 5-foot step back. The one with the sword behind. Nope, that's a zombie.
Me.
Tall sword.
That one. Yeah, he takes a 5-foot step back. Still has his sword out in one hand, but he kind of like hunkers down and he starts. You see him. He's like pressing a hand into whatever injury he sustained in his leg, trying to like put pressure on it. You guys see his face is a little pale, as there's quite a bit of blood soaked into his pant leg at this point. Which brings us to zombies. So, zombie with the red hat there, as it's like wrapped up with Osrius, is actually going to... no, it's not going to try to break free. It's just going to try and beat you. So
It might.
it's gonna... Nope, that's a 3. So basically, it's like... as it tries to like slam at you and bite, but you're so much bigger than it that it really can't get a solid hold of anything. It does like it bites into like the leather of your armor, and your armor is kind of like you hear like as it's ripped a little bit between the creature's jaws, but it doesn't get a hold of anything vital.
Keep biting. See where that gets you.
Okay, and this guy.
I wonder if my sheer weight can crush him.
So one arm.
Okay.
It still stomps forward, holding this box. It shifts like almost like a football underneath one arm as it rears the other arm back, and with an audible like whistling noise, swings it through the air at the lady there.
Protection.
Okay. Protection. What increases their AC by?
No, it's disadvantage.
Oh, disadvantage. Okay. All right. Well, that's a 21 on the first one so then with disadvantage. With disadvantage, it would have been a crit. So it does still hit, but it doesn't crit. As it just brings this fist basically down into like the top of her head and into her shoulder, and it deals. Okay, a little bit of damage to her. As she like kind of staggers forwards and sideways a little bit, her sword like clanging into the ground as she stumbles forward, but manages to kind of keep her feet as she turns and corrects her posture to defend herself against the newly approached zombie. And Alar and Brahm, you two are up again.
Is Nula's javelin still in that one?
No, it walked through
Not
it.
yet, but my rapier now is. I cast Booming Blade, stab the rapier in, and leave it in.
All right.
Okay.
What's your damage on your rapier?
It's a sneak attack since it's engaged, so 8, 9 plus 3, 12 piercing.
Okay.
And I simultaneously heat that metal and do 13.
13?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
damage.
So,
Teamwork.
Alar steps forward, plunges the rapier deep into this creature. At which point, Brahm, you cast your hand forward, and the rapier glows red hot. You also take the fire damage.
I will have a
Well,
look
he
at
didn't
it.
let go of the sword.
Not as like a simultaneous action.
It's fine. I'll take the
in
damage.
that round, he's.
I'll take the damage. It's fine.
But as it is cherry red, and Alar, as you get burned, you can use your reaction to drop it.
Yeah, I let go.
And it like illuminates the sword glowing cherry red, the thin blade of the rapier in this creature, and you actually see like through what are essentially like rotted away holes in the creature. You see like its chest cavity lights up almost like a jack-o'-lantern for a second.
Creepy.
And there is a distinct like burnt cloth and dust smell as it like topples sideways to the ground, and is in the process of like, but then gives one like and pushes itself back to its feet as it gets up again. Okay. So that brings us to Kel.
We're going to head that way and then cast Frostbite on Murderbeard friend.
Okay.
So this is a DC 13 Constitution save.
It fails.
So it will take
With a burning sword
6
inside
points
it.
of cold damage,
Okay.
and it will have disadvantage on its next attack.
Okay, so once again, you see this frigid blast of cold washes over the zombie. The previously like sizzling bits of its skin where the metal had been heated up inside it instantly like flash freeze over. The metal of the rapier goes from red hot to like blackened instantaneously as the cold flashes over it. And the zombie, in the process of standing up, is basically like knocked sideways into the dirt again and lays still for just a moment more. And then once again stands back up.
So does his spell counteract my spell? I guess that's...
Does it like cool off the metal?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna maintain
Yeah,
the spell,
that's
it
what
will
Okay.
heat back up.
So I'm sure it wasn't canceling.
Can't say what a continued period of freezing and heating is gonna do to Alar's sword, but
Eh.
Not my
Occupation.
stuff.
Occupational hazard.
okay, Osrius, you have this zombie wrapped up.
Right. I will let him go.
You let him go. All right.
Hit him with the great axe
All right, we'll hit.
while raging.
Wow, rage. All right, so Osrius flies into a rage.
At 20.
Crits. He does succeed on his save, so your rage thing will only do half damage.
Okay.
But the attack is a crit.
Oh, actually, I wanted to do it on him. It's within 10 feet that I can actually do
Okay. Sure.
The siege. So the crit, that's good. That's good.
So go ahead, roll the damage for that guy first.
Doubling that. That's only so it's 6 plus 8, 9, 10, 11.
Okay.
And for Murder Beard Friend, that will be 3.
Is that already halved? Or
Yes, that's already halved.
Okay,
It
so
was
he takes
6,
3.
so 3 thunder.
Okay. Once again, this like bolt of lightning shoots off of you. The zombie like takes a half step back, but once again you see it's like rights itself. As there's like each time you guys like smash away, that there's like less and less of its body left over. It somehow like continues to maintain hold on this box that it's got tucked under one arm. Despite everything that you guys are just like wailing into it. Nula, you are up.
No,
I'm gonna turn back to this other guard and be like, "You good for a few minutes, or you need healing like now?"
No, live. Kill that bastard.
On it. I will turn back and channel divinity, turn the faithless.
Okay.
I present my holy symbol and his fate or fiend within 30 feet.
Those are not fair.
Oh.
They're not dead.
Ah,
Just smack it.
fine. I
Take the box.
take my warhammer and smack it.
Which one?
The one with the box.
Right, so just step up.
Up.
Do that.
Oh, damn.
Step up.
Can I try to knock the box out of his hand?
Sure.
Okay.
And that would be an action in lieu of taking an attack.
Are you trying to knock the box out of his hand with your attack?
Just kill it.
Just kill it? Okay.
Yeah.
23.
That definitely hits.
7.
7 damage. Alrighty. Alright. You bring your hammer onto the top of its head and it just caves its skull in. And the whole body just gives one great, like, twitch. The arm holding the box goes limp and the box clatters to the ground as the body falls sideways over onto the ground and lays unmoving. And as the box hits the ground, it stays closed, but you guys distinctively hear, as it hits, you hear the shattering of something glass inside it.
Well, it was good I didn't purposely do that.
That's
It
your
broke by
turn.
accident.
So Walter, as this box hits the ground, it is your turn.
Yep. Murder Beard has been destroyed.
Yes, he's
Okay.
dead.
We're gonna bonus action move the hex over.
Hex moves over.
It's gonna be strength again.
Okay.
Screw that. I'm just gonna blast it. It doesn't look like Oz is in the way a little bit, but
He's let it go at this point, so you're
Okay.
good.
all right. Eldritch plus 15.
I'll hit. Roll damage.
We got a 1d6 necrotic and 1d10 force. 6 force and 3 necrotic.
All right. So Walter levels his hand again. That charge of necrotic energy filters down his arm, coalesces in the palm of his hand, and lances outward, streaking around you guys and hitting the zombie right below its dwarven bearded chin with a resounding like sound. And it is lifted up off its feet, and its head, you hear it like snap back from the impact, and there's like a sickening sound as the force of its head snapping back actually rips it the rest of the way off the body, and the body and the head both into the ground, and like the head rolls a couple of feet away, and there's 2 or 3 seconds where the head seems to still be like snapping and moving a little bit on its own before it very slowly just and everything goes quiet
Do you
Hey,
practice?
Alar, what's in the box?
Alar is going to, with his undamaged hand, very carefully undo the latch on the box and peer in.
Echo. Combat over.
You'd be headed to.
Wow.
Wow.
Echo. Combat over. You let me down, Echo.
Just taking stupid pills today.
Are we gonna eventually fight like a
Echo knows
construct
something you
named
don't.
Alexa?
Sorry, I
Echo
can't
knows
do
something
that
you don't.
thing.
There are more zombies.
So, the latch is flipped on the box. You open it, and as you do, a liquid spills out and begins to seep into the grass and dirt around you. You see within the shattered remains of several glass vials and 3 corks, and there is one remaining intact vial you see within, with a very, very faintly luminescing red liquid within it.
As in a potion of healing. Of some
Quite
kind.
possibly.
Just want to say,
Or
I'm not the one who
poison.
broke something. Just saying.
They are drawn to magic. He's going to very carefully close the box and lift it up in his undamaged hand, and he's going to look at the rapier, and that is charred black. Spit on it to see if it's still hot,
It's not hot anymore.
and ow!
I will immediately turn around and lay on hands.
Okay, how many points?
We'll do 3.
Okay.
Screw Alar, he's just got that.
She's always killing NPCs.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm on my feet. I just have a badly
I just
burned
want to
hand.
make sure he's not going to fall over, and then I'll go and.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
See,
Walter
see,
said spare the dying.
Yeah.
He'll be fine.
see to
It
him.
doesn't actually
Sleep it
heal
off.
anything.
Right,
He'll
see to-
sleep it
right.
off.
See to the guards, then see to me.
Yeah, Walter can bitch slap his soul back here.
What'd you find?
I think these were potions of healing. 1 survived.
We need to talk to the Inquisitor right now.
We need to secure the town hall.
We need to get them to get all of the magic stuff in one spot.
Agreed, but we need to secure the town hall.
I will.
The one that you healed.
I go heal.
Okay,
Heal 3 points damage.
thank you.
The one whose leg you kind of healed, you pass enough healing through that you seem to stop the worst of the bleeding. And he does look pale and a little unsteady on his feet, but he kind of nods and he says, "Thank you, Paladin. Yeah, the Queen of the Inquisitor should be along shortly. She was on the east side of town when the alarm was raised. We were just the closest to respond when those things came busting out of the town hall.
Out of the town?
We need to
Are there
secure.
more?
Come on.
Not that we know of, but there could be.
All right.
Alright, look inside.
Yep.
Quick check with the other guard.
She's okay. She's her face is very quickly like turning black and blue. As you kind of turn to look at her, she seems a little spaced, but she blinks and shakes her head and says, I'm fine.
She's gonna live for the next 5 minutes. We've got bigger problems.
You two, secure the entrance. Inform the Inquisitor we're going inside.
Right.
And you take the
Good
3
luck.
points.
Yep.
Okay.
You first.
Why me? Alright. Open.
All right. So as you guys rush forward up the rest of the way to the top of the hill where the town hall is, and Nula throws open the doors. We will pause and take our break for the evening. All right, stick around, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us so far tonight. We'll be back in 5 to 8 minutes ish, and we will continue and see what there is to see inside the town hall. See you soon. Bye. Tabletop Legends would like to thank our presenting sponsor, the 8th House and Marble Moon Studio, an independently and ethically sourced witchy lifestyle and home goods shop, supporting small businesses and creating a safe, inclusive space and community for witchy folk. Find them online at marblemoonstudio.com or shop8thhouse.com. Thank you for sticking around with us over the break. We are back. We're going to play for another hour or so. Hour and a half maybe, tops. And we appreciate you joining us. As I said at the beginning of the show, we did go and hunt down that Kickstarter link. Our presenting sponsor, the 8th House and Marble Moon Studio, are currently launching, the 8th House specifically is currently launching a Kickstarter for a tarot card deck that they are releasing. So I'm going to put the link to that in chat. So that link that we just dropped in chat there is the Kickstarter link for the 8th House tarot deck. For those of you watching this either at a later time or not keeping an eye on chat, if you search the 8th House Tarot on Kickstarter, you will find the project. Looks like they are looking for $13,000, and they are already at about $1,200 with plenty of time to go. So awesome. If you are somebody who is into witchy stuff and tarot cards, or if you're somebody who's not, but you think the deck looks particularly cool, and like me, you want to use it in your own home game as a deck of many things, certainly give it a look and consider. This is not it. This is my home one. But maybe we'll see if we can get an 8th House tarot deck for when I inevitably try to ruin our game with a deck of many things.
I'm sure we can certainly buy one.
We probably can.
You must not jump on the deck!
Okay, so
What is it? Osri's the wish.
all
A lot of sandwiches.
oh, yes, all the sandwiches.
The world stars as
Sandwiches
all
in
the
silence.
appear on him.
Sandwiches in silence.
That might be the title of the episode. What was the other one?
Stay in your lane.
Because
I like them both.
Because I gave any indication that Osrius loved sandwiches.
Hello, Hoagie's
Yes.
my old friend.
She does love silence.
I've come to eat you once again.
Okay, so let's jump back into it. You guys are literally in the process of SWAT teaming your way into the town hall as the two responding Mythlindian home guards who had rushed onto the scene as an alarm was raised in the area were cut off by these 3 zombies exiting the premises, and were being in the process of being driven back when you guys ran into them and helped turn the tide of the battle. The 2 fairly injured home guard are kind of hanging back and attempting to secure the area and meet up with the Inquisitor as she is swiftly heading on her way to the scene as well. And you guys are charging forward to see if any more zombies are on the premises or if anything else needs to be done in the town hall. And so we rejoin as Nula, you throw open the doors and take a step into the open space of the town hall, hammer and shield at the ready, looking around. The inside of the town hall does show some signs of a scuffle, though most of the interior furnishing and seating that had been in there in the event of a town hall meeting had already been moved aside by the previous goings on. You definitely see there is an area where some of them have been knocked over. You see the various other doorways to other parts of the town hall are all largely seem closed and undisturbed. The stairwell that leads down to the basement where you know the cells to be stands unguarded, open, seemingly undisturbed from what you can tell. But what catches your eye as you look to the back of the building, off to one side, the door that you know to be the door to the sheriff's office, which you guys had been in the other day before, you do see the first thing that catches your eye there is a streak, a smear of blood on the ground, and you see the still figure of one of the Mifflindian home guard laying face down a few feet away from the doorway. No other movement within the room catches your attention.
Are there any sounds of movement in the building?
Make a perception check.
14.
You do not hear anything. It is quiet from what you can tell.
I will run over me.
I'm following you.
Okay.
I will make a medicine
I'm gonna
check.
head over to where the
6.
sextant was.
I'm gonna run down the stairs as well.
Okay, so you guys, Kel and Alar, peel off towards the stairwell and sprint down the stone steps into the basement. You're going with her, right?
We had the same idea. I was gonna go check on his vitality.
So Nula and Walter, you guys rush to the back. Nula, you drop down to your knees, turn this individual over, and you see with a sinking in your stomach, just recognizable through what of his face has not been just smashed to a pulp, the blank, lifeless eyes of the young Liam, the Mifflindian home guard who you had come to know a little bit, very much dead.
We only know 2 guys' names, and that was one of them.
Damn it! Damn yous.
You guys sprint down to the bottom of the stairs, and as you reach the last step and pass out into the slightly larger space of the sub basement, you have just a split second where you kind of hear this primal shout, which is to your ears more filled with like terror and desperation than anything else. And there is a whistling noise, and I need both of you to make a dexterity saving throw.
That's
19.
Okay.
8.
8. Very lucky. The terrified figure of the deputy, whose name you only know the surname of as Nell, was standing at the base of the stairs, taking one step to the side with a well enough kept, but very clearly not a very finely crafted sword that you recognize as having come from the weapons locker that you saw in the sheriff's office earlier. And as you guys thundered down the stairway with this sort of primal, she just whiffs the sword into the doorway, trying to just take the head off of the first thing to come down. And Alar, you basically manage to like plant one foot and throw yourself backwards as the sword whistles past your chest. And Kel, you basically like react after the sword has like over your head. You just, and the sword, for its part, the sword with a kind of an echo of like sparks hits the stone wall of the stairway as Deputy Nell pulls the sword back.
Hold it, hold it, hold it.
God, sorry.
It's okay. Is everyone all right down here?
Yes.
You did the right thing.
What of the monsters upstairs?
Hearing all that, I'm gonna come running in.
We think
like,
they're.
Stop it!
Everyone be cool.
God, she puts the sword down on the ground,
Okay.
and she just leans back against the wall.
Okay.
You did good. You did good.
Monsters upstairs.
We think we got them. We're clearing the building. Is everything good down here?
Alar's gonna glance over to the sexton's cell.
He's at the bars, just sort of looking. The two. It's very dark down here. You see, she had extinguished some torches down here, so you can kind of make out his outline and sort of the the slight gleam in the flinty black of his eyes as he's looking from within the confines of his jail.
I'm gonna toss a wave to him since I know he's got dark vision. I do too.
He just gives you a nod, not saying anything.
All right. So everything's cool down here.
Everything is totally cool. I don't know why you say that. I think it wasn't.
The lieutenant when they broke into the building, he gave me a sword out of the locker and told me to not let anything past if it went for the basement. I heard the fighting upstairs after that, but then nothing for a few minutes, and then you two. I thought the monsters had come down for me at last.
Okay, you did fine.
Two notes. Number 1, zombies can't run like that. Number 2, kneecaps.
Okay.
And then he just starts crying.
Actually holding it together surprisingly well for basically like a farmer with a badge, essentially. I truly hope that I never have to use either of those pieces of advice again.
Okay.
The lieutenant and the young one, Liam, I think. What of them? Are they all right?
We don't know.
We came straight down here. The rest of our friends are clearing the rest of the building. We'll let you know when we know. Stay down here.
She picks up the sword again.
We'll let you know from the top of the stairs if we're coming back down.
Yeah.
All right.
Coming down.
Okay. So you guys head back up. So Nula, as you are looking over the body of the slain home guard Liam, you hear vaguely echoing from behind you somewhere, kind of a thundering of footsteps, followed by like a shout and a metallic sounding clang, followed by the hurried kind of exchange of panicked voices.
Also some screaming.
And then a half second later you hear, and then silence as things seem to kind of calm down. What are you doing in the meantime?
I'm gonna try to find a piece of cloth or something to like cover him with, so not everyone needs to see his broken skull.
Okay, make an investigation check.
+0.
I'm gonna pop up the stairs and be like,
17.
we're all right down here. Everything's fine. How are you?
We're sending a squad up.
What was your
17.
Okay, so you walk into the nearest place that you can think to look for something with which to cover the body. You walk into the sheriff's office. You see that this office, unlike the main area of the town hall, which sort of only showed minor signs of a scuffle, the office is like thrashed. The weapons cabinet has been smashed off of the wall, has broken open. There are a number of swords, save for the one that Deputy Nell has down in the basement, just scattered along the floor. The furniture is like toppled over. The desk is like 3 feet out of position askew. You see the only thing you can find of any reasonable size is like a sort of circular area rug, which sits in the center of the room. And as you like bend down to pick it up, you look and your eye catches from underneath the desk. You can just see the form of a second body wearing a home guard's uniform laying behind the desk, just out of line of sight of the door.
I get up and go check that body.
Medicine check.
6.
Okay.
It's a body.
It is a body.
You come around the corner and you see the figure of, I'm not sure if you recognize him. It is one of the ones that the party has met, Lieutenant Cross, the like second in command of the Inquisitor. He lays on his back. His sword is, his hand is limp, but his sword, the hilt of his sword still rests within it. There is a sort of a flaky, crusty mixture of this dry but slightly with like a slightly gooey component, like blackish ichor on the blade, where he like clearly took a chunk out of one of these creatures. But there is a grievous like chunk of his torso has just been like torn away. The armor ripped clean. You can actually see several exposed ribs where it's been ripped, and he's in a puddle of blood, and he kind of lays still like this, eyes closed. As you kind of move down to look him over, you actually like receive kind of a start as you like approach him and are just looking over him. He gives sort of like a and one hand like grips one of your hands, and he opens his eyes for a half a second, and he's kind of looking around. You don't get the sense that he really sees you, even though he sort of turns in your direction, and he just gives one sort of weak
Can I immediately lay on
try.
hands?
Yeah, go ahead.
Lay on hands.
Okay. How many points you burning?
3.
Okay. So you thrust as much divine energy as you can suffuse into this this like pulse onto the torso of Lieutenant Cross, and you do see some of this grievous wound kind of like starts to knit over, but the damage is far too severe, and as this pulse of divine light washes over him, his face gives a moment of clarity, as he looks and he locks eyes with you for a moment, and he says, Tell them I loved them. And his eyes again lose focus, and he goes limp, and the hand that was clutching you drops away as he dies.
So prior to that, I was preparing, like, after we figured out the first guy was definitely dead, I was starting to prepare Tensor's floating disc as a ritual. It takes about 10 minutes.
Okay, no problem.
So
Alright, so you're doing that. You guys come up from the basement. You see Walter is crouched nearby to the body of who you recognize as young Liam as you approach.
Kid. I'm sorry.
Sitting about, he appears to be preparing a ritual of some sort. You kind of hear a little bit of scuffle from within the sheriff's office.
I'm gonna head in there next, since I imagine that's where this box came from.
Yep. And you kind of walk in just as there's this kind of flare of golden light from behind the desk, where you can just kind of make the top of Nula's horns sticking up where she's crouched down. And you kind of round the corner just in time, Nula, as you kind of look up just as the lieutenant expires, to see Walter Alar walking into the room, coming around the desk.
The deputy, Nell, the sexton, and those 3 prisoners are alive.
That's good at least.
Naylor's gonna reach into his pack, pull out his bedroll, and drape it over the body.
Okay.
Do we know if he had family too?
Who do you mean by they?
That could have been family, could have been men under his command. We'll pass along his last words to the Inquisitor. Alar's gonna take a moment, and he's gonna try and figure out where this box came from in the office.
Alright, make an investigation check.
17 plus 23.
All right. You move around carefully, avoiding where the body of Lieutenant Cross lays. And kind of searching around a little bit. It doesn't take you too long to identify. What you are fairly certain is one of the drawers, like the bottom side drawers of the sheriff's desk, is basically was just smashed open and pulled out and is like laying against the wall, like 5 feet away from where the desk is. And the drawer is roughly big enough to have contained that box that the creature was carrying.
Okay, I'm gonna check through the rest of the desk, see if there's anything that might scream magic.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I expect it to, but that one's not as great. That one's merely an 11.
Yeah, you don't find anything of any particular note. Parchment, quills, a book, which as you kind of flip through it contains notes of like arrest records. By and large, it's almost exclusively like you see that the name Conrad Mitchell actually does appear a number of times for just instances where one of the deputies picked him up wandering around, peeing on a house or something like that, and threw him in a cell for the night.
Urinating on a deputy.
But by and large, nothing else of any particular interest.
Place stuff back, set the box on top of the desk. Places his hand on Nula's shoulder. Come on, the Inquisitor will be along in a moment. We should be here to meet her.
Here's the question. Where's the sheriff?
That is a good question.
Is there anywhere else left to search, or is there just the downstairs with cells and then sort of an open
There are a
plus-
number of other smaller rooms, like there's some closets, some storerooms, a couple of like back rooms to this area that you could go through, theoretically. There's not really any like there's not another part of this building that's of like significance necessarily. There is a second floor, and you guys don't know what's up there at this point. But to your knowledge, the sort of the real main features of this building are the jail cells, the main meeting hall, and the sheriff's offices are in here. But you could certainly spend some time kind of going through the place if you wanted to.
I'm just gonna prepare the bodies to make them look.
Yeah, so you want to check the second floor?
Sure.
All right. I'm
I'll
going
go.
alone.
I'll go with you.
Alright. So you three head up and off up the set of wooden stairs towards the second story of this building. At the same time as Walter, you finish preparing your ritual, and a mostly translucent disc of magical force is formed and rises a few inches off the ground, ready to stand at your command. Nula, you, I guess, take the body out with the other one, and the three of you are downstairs in the process of this. As for the second time in the past few minutes, the front doors of the town hall bang open, and framed in the doorway is Inquisitor Highhaven, shield in one hand, longsword in the other. And as she stands there, you see the entire blade of the sword is like crackling with this like divine energy. Just behind her are the two home guard that you guys had run in with outside, and you see behind them is Sheriff Maddock, as well as another one of who appears to be one of his deputies, also both carrying swords in their hands. And the Inquisitor steps in, and her eyes sweep the room, and there's almost this like thunderous presence about her as she looks in, and you have no doubt that this woman is prepared to bring like the wrath of the gods down upon her enemies. But quickly she catches the sight of you guys as you're like over with her, her slain, her men. And there's just sort of this moment where she just like, you see she just deflates, and the sword and shield lower, the energy around the sword kind of fades away, and she stands there for a moment, and you see like her jaw working as she takes a beat and then strides forward towards you. The two guards and the sheriff and his other deputy move into the room as well, kind of cautiously, still sort of looking around. The Inquisitor strides up to you, looking only at her two slain soldiers, and she just says, "What happened?"
We came in, they were both on the ground. Liam was already gone. I tried to heal Cross, but his wounds were too grave. I don't know if he has family here, but he had a message to pass on that he loved them.
He had two young boys. They both passed of the Amaranth fever a number of years ago.
Maybe it was his newfound family of the guard.
Perhaps. She gives spits out a word in Elvish, which you understand. Do you speak Elvish? No. So you understand. She, they're upstairs. She curses basically in Elvish. Damn it. And she puts her longsword back into into the sheath with a considerable deal of force, and kind of turns around to address the sheriff and the other guards with her. Meanwhile, upstairs, you guys searching around for anything of interest, anything like that? Before upstairs?
Any obviously broken open doors? Any signs that there are or were zombies about?
Okay. Go ahead and roll investigation checks.
That's better. 18 plus 6, 24.
Okay.
12.
Okay.
4.
All right. So you two both are kind of looking around, trying to see any obvious signs of things that were disturbed, anything like that. The upstairs, the second floor of this building turns out to be one large open area, much in the same way that the downstairs has a large open room. Seems to be they generally use this as like a storage space. There are a lot of benches and chairs and tables, very much similar to what you had seen down below, apparently spares, things like that, which are stored up here. There are a number of shelves, all containing crates, which as you go and you kind of go over and look at them and crack one open and start looking through, all contain these neatly packed scrolls of parchment. As you open one, you look, and it seems to be like town records from years past, basically like census data, tax information from the citizens of Stone Mill, nothing of any general interest. Alar, you are much more interested in the dust rather than what's actually in the space at first. And you're looking for signs of disturbance. And after a few minutes of kind of walking around the area, you come to the conclusion that it does not appear that anybody had been up here particularly recently. You don't see any disturbed dust on any of the shelves or objects, or even on like the walkways of the wooden plank floor that indicates anything came through here all that recently.
I think we're clear.
All right, it was worth checking.
Yeah. These things are definitely drawn to magic. We'll take your advice Tell the Inquisitor to gather up anything of that nature and secure it someplace well defended. Alar's gonna head back down the stairs, sheathing his rapier.
Okay. So you guys come back in the middle of a conversation between the Inquisitor and the remainder of the members of your party, as well as a couple of the other individuals who are in the area right now. And the Inquisitor is currently talking to the sheriff as you guys come down the stairs, and you hear her saying, "In your office, that they might have wanted. Can you think of nothing?" And the sheriff is in the process of saying, I don't know. I don't keep anything out of the ordinary in there."
They were after the healing potions. They're drawn to anything that's magical.
She turns. "Healing potions. You kept supply in your office?" And he says, "I mean, yes, we have a small supply of them on hand for any emergencies. It's standard procedure for the..." "Did they come here because of those potions?"
Anything magic. They'll come after anything magic.
And you see he goes like sheet white, and he says, "Is it my fault that those men are dead?" And the Inquisitor takes a step over and puts a hand on his shoulder, and she says, "No. If it is anyone's fault that these men are dead, it is mine." And she nods in both of your directions. She says, "You're right. We should have made a full sweep of this town. Rounded up anything potentially magical in any nature. Not that I would expect there to be much in these parts, but if we had brought it perhaps to our camp, we could have avoided this. We need to sweep the town. Anything that might attract these creatures needs to be brought somewhere where we can control these creatures if they're coming in."
We can also use this to our advantage, perhaps draw some of them in, possibly find out where they're coming from.
Possibly. And she looks back to her two slain soldiers. Damn it. The price, whatever we may gain from this, is too high.
Sheriff, your deputy now is below. Call out before you head downstairs. But she's alright. The sexton is, as are the prisoners.
Right. Inquisitor, may I be excused to check in on my deputy? She's hardly more than a girl. She's a good deputy, but this is a lot for anyone to handle.
She's got a hell of a swing, by the way.
And the Inquisitor kind of gives a dismissive nod and waves him, and he turns and heads off towards the stairwell. And she turns back to you, pinching the bridge of her nose with her thumb and her middle finger, as if kind of like staving off a pressure headache. And she seems to be kind of deep in thought. She says, They came for the potions and ignored the sexton in the basement below. As far as you can tell.
The deputy said nothing came down there. Your lieutenant armed her with one of the weapons from from the armory and the sheriff's office.
They left the building as soon as they had the chest with the potions in it. I can't imagine they were after anything else.
Only one of the potions survived the fight.
Well, I suppose that if there were any remaining doubt, I suppose that clears the sexton of any likely involvement. Unless he is astonishingly clever. No, I think it much more likely that our culprit does indeed lie somewhere outside of the town. Before the alarm was raised, I did have 2 men out inquiring as to your woodsman friend, and with the tattered remains of the backpack that you provided. I am hoping that can provide perhaps some additional illumination on top of the information we received when we'll venture into the catacombs. This situation grows more dire by the day. We cannot afford to continue to blunder in the dark. We must figure out where these creatures are coming from, and we must go there and put a stop to this. Two of my men are now dead. 2 more injured by these creatures, and a 3rd injured in the unfortunate altercation with our friend here. She gestures towards Brahm, indicating the guy whose hand you burned. That leaves me with a contingent of 3 able-bodied home guard and myself. I believe I am likely in a position where I may be needing to rely on the group of you more than ever. Sending back to Woodpine for reinforcements will take days at best, days which we may not have.
Well, whatever assistance we can offer. At your camp, did you run across any, among your supplies, did you run across any maps of the area?
I have nothing which might indicate as to locations of potential dwarven ruins, but I do have a number of topographical maps that show the main features of the region. Enough, at least, that we should be able to, with a fair degree of accuracy, locate the landmarks which you identified from the tableaus in the Dwarven Mausoleum, which at least narrows our search parameters down to a handful of distinct locations.
Then let's check those maps, narrow down a location, and as soon as we have it, set out for the closest.
Yep. I will assist in getting the bodies back to the camp.
Okay.
Yeah,
I assume they're.
I'm gonna put one's gonna go on the disc.
You can easily carry both of them.
If I stack them, it's not a very big
I
disc.
thought it was 10 foot by 10 foot.
It's 3 feet diameter.
Okay.
It's 3 feet diameter. It's not even 3 feet like radius.
All right. So yeah, you
I'm
get
basically
one
like
guy.
using it as an invisible wheelbarrow, just like
You get one guy. Within the next few minutes, the others they basically get like a stretcher.
Aylar will go retrieve the potion box, hand it off to the Inquisitor.
She kind of opens it up and takes a look at it and shakes her head, takes the potion out, and just hands it to you. Says, "This does no one any good in a box. I have a meager supply of healing remedies of my own for my people. It might serve you some good. You might as well take it."
Thank you. Tuck it aside.
So, Walter and Nula, you guys spend a little bit of time getting the the bodies back to the Inquisitor's camp. They bring them into the tent where the other bodies were being kept, and as they are dropped off in there, another one of the Inquisitor's people comes in with a messenger bag, which they open up and they take out 2 tubes very similar to the ones that you guys had received in the past couple of weeks during your initial meetings with Tori and Idrian. So you recognize them as spell scroll tubes. And the Inquisitor kind of pops both of these open, and one at a time over each of the bodies, she releases the magic stored within those spells, and the parchment of the spell scrolls themselves basically dissolve into like a bluish, almost like cloud of fireflies, which like, and then settle down over top of the two corpses before kind of fading out of existence. She repeats this on both bodies before kind of nodding. She stands looking at them for a few moments. You kind of get the sense that she's privately kind of saying something to her fallen men before she turns to give you both a nod and says, "Thank you for helping us return them. They will be protected until we can return them to Woodpine to be properly cared for and laid to rest."
I just wish my magic could have spread across.
Indeed.
Do I get a sense that I know what spell that was?
If it's a spell that you have, which you might, probably. What spell do you think it is? Let's get that one.
I think it's Gentle Repose.
Yes.
I don't have it, but I was going to ask if she knew someone who could teach it to me as a ritual.
So you do recognize, you're fairly certain, and based on the context clues of like what she kind of said to Nula afterwards, you're fairly certain that this is a spell that you know is sometimes used when there is going to be a gap of time between when somebody passes and when they are like either embalmed or if they're going to be cremated, burned on a pyre or buried or anything like that. Sometimes this spell can be used. It's very uncommon in a town like this. It's much more in larger settlements where they have access to that type of thing. There are very few people who have the ability to actually utilize this spell. So it's not surprising to you that rather than somebody casting it, she had it was imbued on a scroll as part of their supplies that she was able to kind of do this.
Better question. In character, do you have any more of those scrolls that I might take in case we find another that might make use of it? We don't need more undead just in case something starts turning the more recently deceased against us.
She opens. I have 2 remaining. Make a persuasion check. You can use the golden 20.
Alright, I'm gonna use the golden 20.
Alright,
Because I really want to transcribe that into my ritual book.
Okay. So she
That's the total of 25.
Okay. She seems hesitant for a moment, and she says, "I departed Woodpine with 7 of these scrolls as part of my contingent of supplies for our investigation. The fact that I have now had to use 5 is abhorrent, but it does make sense to perhaps divide the remaining of my supply. At least for now, I will leave one in your care. Should your investigation with the rest of your group warrant its use." And she takes a scroll out of the satchel and hands it to you. So you have a spell scroll of containing a spell of Gentle Repose.
Okay.
How many bodies are there?
5.
5 of hers are dead.
No, 2 of hers are dead. 2, the old man and the other guy in the woods
That's right.
that they used it on is 4, and then she used it on the zombie corpse that they brought in to make sure it like was. I mean, they have a tent full of corpses. She needs to keep them from like decaying and rotting and or like potentially coming back. So she has used one of these spells on each of the bodies that are now in her possession. So 2 of her people, 2 of the victims of the attacks, which it does make sense to you guys now, as it maybe like didn't occur before. The for sure that it, like at least that old man has been dead for like over a week, and potentially longer depending on how long it took them to find him. And he was desiccated a little bit, but like he wasn't like putrefying at this point. So like it now makes sense that she has like put one of these on him to keep the body from like rotting while they're continuing their investigation.
While this is going on, Aylar is going to ask the sheriff to release the sextant. He's going to suggest that his assistance in locating a possible point on the Midlothian maps might be keyed in, tracking down the source of the infestation.
And he kind of nods his. Be that as it may, the Inquisitor feels it is best if he stays under our watch for the time being. As much for his own safety as anything. We are fairly certain that he has nothing to do with any of this, but he makes a gesture in the general direction of the basement where the cells are. Some idiots already made one pass at him. It's safer for him to be behind iron bars where no one else can get at him until this is resolved and we can assure people that it's safe again and keep them from doing anything stupid.
All right.
As I said the first time we met, people have a real way of doing dumb things when they're scared. People around here are terrified.
I understand.
But she's given me no instructions that access to him should be limited. If you need him for anything, you'll know where to find him.
Okay, thanks very much. And like I said, that kid now, I love the swing.
She's a good one.
Kept her head when a lot of other people would have lost theirs. She'll do you proud. Excuse me. Aylar's gonna head to the Inquisitor's camp to consult those maps.
Alright, anybody else doing anything else in the intervening time?
Yeah.
What's up?
Osrius will be by like the 4 bodies there, not the zombie one at least, and kind of just prick his finger with the javelin there and take out 4 of like the feathers on the round that is tough and place it like in their hands, in each one's hand.
Okay.
And prick his finger, press it onto the feather, and put each feather into one of each's hands.
Okay. So he's doing this. I don't know who among you might be there to witness that or not, but
Yeah.
that's something he does.
Quick character question. Tori and Adrian gave us 100 gold for the lot of us to start. Okay. It's very expensive to transcribe rituals, so just wanted to recheck that before I did anything else.
I would also like to go look at the maps.
Okay.
Yes. After I'm done with the bodies, I'll head over the maps as well.
Okay. So, you guys eventually all reconvene at the Inquisitor's camp in her main tent. She has a number of topographical maps of the area marked, laid out, and on the one fairly detailed one of the area, which shows Stone Mill in some sizable detail. A lot of the stuff to the south of you, which is well within Mithlindae's territory, is much more detailed with names of caravan trails and trade roads and things like that all marked out. The stuff to the north is a lot more vague. The topography is pretty good, but there's not much in the way of like passable routes throughout the mountains. or settlements or things like that in within Krasudur's domain marked out, but she has circled 3 general areas that match the descriptions that you gave her of the locations.
Alar will also be, he'll cast minor illusion to bring up the 3 and kind of.
So yeah, you guys are able to match 3 locations on the topographical map that match where you had seen on the dwarven crypt. There had supposedly been settlements at one point. One is eastward and northward, perhaps about a 2-day journey. One is straight eastward, maybe a 3 to 4 day journey, and one is eastward as well, but just ever so slightly south, right in like the very edge of the foothills of the Ujir Mountains, rather than like in the mountains themselves. And that one is similarly maybe a 2.5 day trip out in that direction.
We've got nothing to narrow it down from those 3. Damn. Alright, what do you lot think? North, straight east, southeast.
Which one's closest? The third?
The,
2 days?
The first one.
the first one's 2 days, the third one is maybe a little longer.
I thought the third one was 2 days.
It's
2.5.
2.5.
Oh.
Well, it wouldn't be too hard for us to do a loop and hit them all. But that's a week.
It is. And
If the zombies are coming, if the undead dwarves are coming from any of these directions, we should likely run into them, as they seem to be coming almost daily from wherever their source is. We might miss them if we start the wrong direction. But we should at least run into another one on the way.
well, we've also got something that'll draw them to us. Not that I'm particularly happy with having a glowing target on my back. On the other
We
hand,
should see if we can collect more things that will draw them to us. We don't necessarily care if they're things of value, but
yeah, that would also keep them from coming into the town if they're coming after us, because we have all the.
and it also gives us a chance of figuring out what direction they're coming from.
Good point.
So if there are any things that can be given to us that are not of particular sentimental or monetary value that would help make us a little brighter.
The Inquisitor, who's in the room obviously with you at this point, says, the incident you had in the woods last night. She goes and pulls up another map, which Brahm, you recognize the one that you had marked for her. And she kind of points the location that you had circled, which was slightly east and a little northward. It says, it was here, yes?
Yeah, that looks correct.
Thereabouts.
Then
Then the north way.
perhaps that is the
I
ideal.
mean, that's the closest one. So the thing that makes the most sense to me is to start there and then head to the one that's the furthest away, and then on our way back to the one to the south.
If there are items there of monetary value that are also magical, they should possibly be concealed. Not only somewhere defensible, but somewhere that may be beyond a basic sense. Somewhere a thick stone wall. Somewhere, no, they were able to sense it through the stone walls of the prison. Never mind.
At this point, I believe we are doing more harm than we are doing good, trying to keep calm the people of Stone Mill by keeping them in the dark about what exactly is going on here. A number of people have, at this point, seen the creatures as they made quite a display of rampaging through the street this morning before you were able to apprehend them. If you intend to set out immediately. Then I will coordinate to round up the townspeople and fully inform them as to what has been going on, and my remaining men and I can make a sweep of the town to gather up anything that might have arcane trace on it, though I cannot imagine what else there could be in the town than what has already drawn these creatures. This is not a major city by any means, and magical items do not simply...
It appears to not necessarily just be items, but people who may be gifted.
Additionally, I think we know that the monsters attempted to get to the temple but couldn't get in. There may still be something within the temple walls.
Well, we will do what we can. Unfortunately, our able-bodied forces dwindle as this continues. I am loath to send you lot on this expedition to search, as rightfully it should be my duty to do so, but with the remaining forces I have, I fear my only option is to remain and try to defend the town with my remaining soldiers, and put my faith that you are as trustworthy as you claim to be in this matter. Otherwise, I would go with you myself. She walks to the edge of the tent and kind of sticks her head out, and you hear her mutter a few words to somebody outside, and she comes back and says, "The least I can do is arm you with a few more of the healing potions from my own stockpile to give you the best chance of success as you go out there."
We already know that attracts them, so that's actually good. The further we are from town, closer we are to them, the more it'll draw us to them, more likely you'll stay away from Stone Mill.
Indeed.
When you gather the townsfolk, let Mrs. Turner know that we are still on the look for her daughter.
I will speak with her personally.
We have not forgotten.
Indeed. If you have any other business to take care of in the town, I would ask that you do so quickly and make all haste to leave as soon as possible. This has gone on quite long, and as she says that, the tent flap kind of flies open without preamble, and the guard Abner, who you recognize, kind of walks in. He says, "Inquisitor, kind of nods to you. She says, "It's quite all right, sir. Speak, Abner." He says, the pack that you gave me, and the man you sent me to find in the tavern. I went and spoke to him. He was able to give me a little bit of information on both of them. The pack that he said, he recognized it. It belongs to a man who lives out in a homestead by himself to the east and slightly north of the town. He only makes a trip into town a few times a season to gather supplies, but he said without a doubt that he would recognize the man's pack anywhere, as they are often traveling companions during his trips in the woods. I don't know what use that information is, but he was quite certain of it. And the other thing he said, after I reminded him of the conversation about harpies, he was able to give me a little bit of information about the harpy nests that he knows of in the area.
Can you point them out on this map, please?
Yes, Abner, come. And he kind of looks and he says, well, he says that they prefer locations where they can get high up into the rocks, and craggy areas, and he spent some time describing the topography of an area where he knows a large group of harpies is known to reside, some 2-ish days outside of town, and he indicates on a map, not quite where one of your circles was drawn, but close enough that it doesn't seem like a coincidence to that northeast location.
That's our target.
Alright, let's go.
Alright, I do want to pick up another dagger or two. That little trick that you pulled is rather useful, but I'd like to keep the use of my hand.
It's your hand.
Yeah, it's my hand, and I'd like to keep it.
I'm going.
so-
go ahead.
So I'm going to run by the general store, pick up a couple more daggers. I will meet you at the edge of town,
Yeah.
since you'll probably be heading straight out.
Yeah, I'm just gonna mention that I'm sure she knows, but the relic hunters never came by the temple.
Indeed, they also appear to have abandoned their room at the inn.
Interesting.
May mean nothing, but
Timing.
timing is odd. At the moment, we have
Bigger.
problems, but I have not forgotten them.
Yeah.
She nods. Well, it seems that our rogue harpy incident might have something to do with where these undead are coming from, and we at last have a lead that seems solid enough to follow. Good luck. If you find anything out there that seems too serious to handle on your own, I would prefer you come back to inform me rather than get yourselves killed out there trying to play the heroes.
You got it.
There's one thing that we are not. It is heroes.
Never claimed that.
He gives kind of a grim smile at that and says, "Then may you be fleet of foot. Good luck."
Alar runs into the general store. Those two. Plunk. Thank you. Runs out.
You get a pair of daggers that are clearly more intended for like whittling or carving work, but will do the trick of stabbing somebody just the same as a combat crafted dagger for your purposes. Anybody else doing any last minute business in the town before you're out of here?
How many potions did she give us?
She gave you 2 additional healing potions.
We
So you have
have
3
more than we had before.
We have a
Yeah.
total?
3 healing potions
Yep.
total.
Dibs.
currently.
Just regular,
Standard healing potions.
regular lesser.
Yep, those are healing
He's
potions.
got one too.
Alright.
Anybody else?
I think that is a good place to stop for tonight as you guys prepare to seek whatever is at the end of all of this road.
Doom.
A harpy nest of dwarven zombies or something of that nature. Alrighty.
Tune in next time for a harpy nest of dwarven zombies or something of that sort. Next time on Tabletop Legends.
Okay, thank you, audience, for joining us tonight. I had fun. I hope my players did as well, and I hope you watching at home did.
Only slightly.
I hope you guys watching at home did as well. Tune in next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Proficiency Bonus, as we set the record once again with episode 7 of Tabletop Legends.
The legends awaken.
Tune in next week for when he makes that joke and we all rise up and slay him.
Get ready for that joke for the rest of time. Thank you to our sponsors. Twitch affiliate program, Team MZ. You'd think I would have these memorized by now, but I don't.
Streamlabs.
Streamlabs. Proficiency bonus, many-sided dice, Twitch affiliate program, Streamlabs, Team MZ for supporting proficiency bonus. Thank you to Marble Moon Studio. Thank you to the 8th House for making us sweet mugs, which you can go to their website and buy, and you should. support
Do
the
it.
Kickstarter for the 8th House's Tarot deck. And we'll see you next time. This episode will be up on Monday, coming up.
D20.
The Golden D20. Oh, I should have handed those out far before I started talking. So you guys should write fast. Twitch chat, if you guys want to cast a vote for who should get the Golden D20 for this evening, please throw that in chat now to cast your vote as the players go ahead and make their votes at the table. Yes, Osrius can have a pencil. How do you go every session without having a pencil? And I don't find out until the end when you need to.
It's fine. I don't.
For anybody who cares, I'll be on Mystic Hour this Thursday talking about some stuff. So
As
Tune
will
in.
as will I, apparently.
maybe tune in or don't.
Can't
force
but
you.
do tune in.
Do tune in. We can't force you, but we will.
They'll be discussing stuff and things.
I believe this is improv.
Improv
right?
and D&D.
Um,
Improv.
so please tune in to Proficiency Bonus every single dang night of the week for some sort of fun, nerdy D&D and or general non-sensory for some of their various shows. Please support them. Look us up on YouTube and subscribe at Tabletop Legends. We need it because of reasons.
We need validation.
We need validation for our efforts.
One of us needs a surgery, but we're not going to tell you what it is or who it is.
Okay,
Do
Twitch
we
is.
have the final amount? Money?
We do not. They have not said. Yes. In case you are wondering, I do not yet have the total amount of money donated during our Autism Awareness Month extravaganza fundraiser drive. I'm still waiting for some of the final numbers to come in from bit donations. But as not the person who runs Proficiency Bonus, I don't have access to that. So once they're able to kind of get all that collated for me, we will make that announcement at some point and get that out to
Yeah, I
everybody.
suppose it can come out of jail now.
We spent the entire night this evening, I realize, with the wrong overlay that includes LBD on it on our thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember noticing that like 5 minutes into the first half of the show, and then I had forgotten by the time break came around, so I didn't mention it.
With us in spirit.
With us in spirit, and I did also forget to write her out of the show, so she's been theoretically around here. But we'll
Watching us be slightly less
No,
confident than we were before.
LBD is. I was going to say Nula's there, but LBD is
LBD's also there.
also there.
All right, so Golden D20 votes. I have a vote for Osrius.
Oh, hey.
For
What did I do?
boy, you guys gotta really
That's
step up the
probably
handwriting here. For something,
We should just text them to you.
we could do that. Do you guys think I love sandwiches?
Why do you guys think I love
Oh,
sandwiches?
for why do you guys think I love sandwiches?
That
Here's
was,
LBD.
that was never,
LBD.
that
There's
was never
LBD.
established.
We
was
have
the whole
Nula
time.
for bedside manner.
Aw.
We have Brahm for tossing a zombie at Alar.
Toasting zombies.
Toasting zombie and Alar, I see.
Yes.
We have Kel for killing Dwarven zombie in one hit. We have Kel for fire hands. And we have Nula for almost saving that guy. You'll get him next time.
Get him next time, champ.
There's also a vote from chat for Walter.
And yes, chat did give a vote for Walter, which means we do have a tie between Kel
Walter.
and Nula
Fight to the death.
with two. No, which means the tie-breaking vote goes to me, and my vote for this evening was actually also for Nula. For the emotional trauma of having to hold a man as he died in her arms, which is brutal.
And be like,
man.
who is they? Who are they sending this
Who's
message
they? What do you mean they blew it up?
What the hell is an aluminum falcon?
Smell like burnt feet wrapped in leathery burnt bacon.
Okay, thank you guys for joining us. I don't. My thing is frozen, but I assume we're still live. See you next week. Catch us on YouTube. Catch up with all of our past episodes. I love you, but not in a weird way. And goodbye. Bye.